So I learned. So first, YouTube is starting to talk up something about medical misinformation, and they're citing who they will be in cahoots with about medical misinformation. So what this really is that they're trying to now make it that you can't talk about how there's absolutely no medical scientific data, like there's no trial and error. There's never been really any real what we would think of as experimentation. There's no like control group. That all gender sexual stuff is bullshit. That came out of bad philosophy, bad sociology, and bad psychology. Now, I actually recently discovered another end of the bad psychology part of it. So none of this is actually biological, and that's why Ben Shapiro has been so good in saying, no, he's going to argue it's biological. Ben Shapiro is really smart in this because in so doing, he, one, big ups their theory, but two, holds them to, because biology works a certain way, if your theory is correct, ... So that's how he's going at it. While Michael Knowles is going at it a different way. Now, my whole thing is, I recently stumbled on, it was one of the various psychologists. I want to say it was Wilhelm Reich. And there was somebody else who influenced him, or was influenced by him. But one of the key things is that this idea that you have to, that because we suppress desire, and because we suppress, or anything we suppress, supposedly then makes you it's fascistic to suppress your passions. So to actually, so the argument that's going to start coming from the left is you have that self-control is in itself an indicator of fascism and fascistic thinking. So they're going to be throwing this word around a lot from this point on. They depend upon this word because, of course, they're the only ones who are acting like fascists in any way, shape, or form that is congruent with all historical documentation on the fascist movement, on any fascist movement, because fascist movements are always anti-religious. Even when it was Kemalism in Turkey, they always want to take the religious and isolate it into some section of very easily controlled, so it's very easily controlled by the government. And so that's key, because of course it is a fundamental part of culture, and a key part of the gender sexuals is that culture. It's the culture. It's not that they're broken. It's not that their mom was broken. It's not that they're broken. It's that everybody else is. And so this is the beautiful part of it, is, of course, that this is devoid of real philosophical insight or knowledge of what fascists were arguing, what they did. I mean, like, it really is going to be kind of beautiful. But then I thought about it. There was something else that came up. That if you watch, the more you're exposed to mainstream media, the less able you are to actually determine whether something is true. You don't really know how you don't know fundamental things about the world around you. If you watch mainstream media, and it's very difficult for you to understand the world around you. I think in general, liberals, it's like this. I think that they really have almost no capacity to understand anything outside of about 100 feet around them and their immediate interests. This was something I noticed too often in the Northwest when I would work places with mostly liberal female populations, that they literally almost knew about nothing outside of their very personal interests, which would be like hobbies and TV shows. and maybe something they were into as like a kid or they were into at school. And then beyond that, it was that it was almost like nothing that's outside of 100 feet concerns them, or they seem to have knowledge of. And finally, when I started to listen to various liberals, especially black liberals, supposedly citing history, there's almost no group that's almost completely incapable of doing so. I mean, I know generally white liberal women pretty bad at citing history, pretty terrible at it, but with black people, it's almost as if you're dealing with somebody who's just making things up completely and totally out of whole cloth right then and there in front of you. I think this is, it's like I get this interesting. This is interesting. I wonder how there's somebody who sends me a letter every so often about, I think, their church. But I think that's what this is, because the way that this is printed, it looks like what they've sent me before. But no, it's like this person who sends me this letter. You should come to our church. I don't know if they know who I am. I don't know if it's being sent to everybody here. I have no clue. I have no idea. I think it's Seventh-day Adventists or the Jehovah's or something like that. But anyway, I've started to really kind of have this thing, like, because when I listen to people like how Sam Cedar cannot be accurate. He refuses to be accurate in almost any way, shape, or form. Very typical of people on the left. They almost have an inability to be frank and accurate. And yeah, no candor, no candor at all. It's they're never arguing in good faith. In fact, actually, it's they're never arguing in good faith, and that's really the thing now with the left, is understanding the left. People who are even if they're slightly pro-black, usually if they're black and they're not hard right, you're usually dealing with somebody that they're going to argue some non sequitur bullshit that doesn't really matter, and and that you're going to have to make it clear, like, if white people wanted to wipe black people out, this would happen in a week. Why are you? Come on now, and so it's now this thing. I'm like sitting back and I was like, no, Clary, just his line, the future of wealth is whether you're sane or not, and this is really going to be. I highly recommend people start really getting into this idea. The right only has to be friendly with one another. Don't be Nick Fuentes. Don't just be an asshole to everybody on your side. That's the thing that Fuentes is just never ever gonna get, is that he ruined it for himself. Now nobody can trust him. Nobody can ever trust him, because they're like, you kept standing by Ali Alexander. You should have dumped him. You should have long realigned your organization. All this stuff about how cool Hitler is, it's over. It's all fucking over. You decided that you were going to be insane, and now people think that, like, you're a very well-spoken nut job, and congratulations. And you have no lieutenants. You have no lieutenants that are worthy of speaking about. You have just a handful of people, handful of hangers-on, really. And the only thing that he could really do is try to come back by at least putting in some real work on some ideas, or a forum of ideas, or something, or at least, attempt to do something along the lines of a Catholic / Orthodox for people to speak, but he won't do any of this because Nick likes garnering negative attention. That's his bag. He's like too many people. He likes to garner negative attention. So, all right. Well, I'm home a little early. It's not half as blazing hot as it was before. Wow. The shorts. Thank you, ladies. This has been a great summer. Oh my gosh. Like illegal levels of ass cheek falling out of shorts in Oregon. It's fantastic. It's really one of these things where you're like, oh man, there's all these crackheads all over the place. Everything's on fire. There's all this smoke, and wow, look at that. Hello, junior in college. Wow. Wowie's out. I got a degree to give you. I got something to teach you. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. I believe I should be probably doing one of my last training sessions with the old kung fu teacher. He's getting out of Oregon. They're going to the mountain country. He's like, I'm getting old. My kids are adults. It's time for me to do what Taoists do. I'm going to the mountains. And, yeah. Well, talk to you guys soon.